Welcome on in, everybody. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there. Just saw this come across the timeline that Nikola Jović still in a walking boot. This is from an account that is called @SerbianMamba_, which, I mean, I think that dude deserves a follow. Part-time Jovic fan page. Well, sir, I'm a full-time Jovic fan, so let's get to it. But Nikola Jović, he had said, apparently, according to this account, him still being in a walking boot where he's scooting in with what looks like some of the other members of Team Serbia, I'm guessing. But he said on his health, you don't know. I can't claim 100% that I'll play. But I really believe it. If the MRI says it's bad and I won't be able to get back in time, I hope that everything will be fine. Bums me out that Nico will not be given a chance to possibly play for Team Serbia because, you know, this was I think a big deal for him last year at FIBA, where, you know, they went all the way to the gold medal game, and you see him, and he is still there's video right now that I'm seeing on Twitter of him with Joker and with the team. And, yeah, he's there on his little scooter, which is like a little bit of a drag, you know? Like, you don't want to see that. You know, you want to see Jovi go out there and be able to perform on this big international stage. And it seems like, as you guys can see here from this B92 Sport video, that Jovi is still dealing with the ankle injury. That, look, it was told to the Heat reporters that it was not a concern. They had said, I believe, that he was going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. When did we first see this report? Let me look at this. Jovic's ankle first popped up as a thing a little less than 2 weeks ago. About 10 days ago is when we first realized it. So he's not quite at reevaluation time with this situation, but it was told that it was not something that was going to hinder his opportunity to play in the Olympics. So we will have to see where we are at for our Serbian Terminator and make sure he will be, you know, ready to go. If not for the Olympics, of course, certainly for training camp. In the meanwhile, speaking of the Heat and their roster, there was a report out today, not too surprising, from Mike Scotto, that Caleb Martin is expected to decline his $7 million and some change player option and enter free agency this summer. I had seen some report that had said or predicted that he was going to sign like a 3-year, $45-ish million deal. Typically, when you see those numbers getting leaked, they're not coming from nowhere. I remember the Tyler Johnson thing. Like, Tyler Johnson, it was predicted that he was going to get a monster, and people thought it was crazy. Now, these agents, you know, they're not idiots. Like, a lot of the times, they're not just telling you to opt out. Hey, I got nothing, you know, which kind of lends to against tampering, but it's not like it's not usually a gamble. And Caleb Martin deserves it. You know, you see some of the money that's going around and is going crazy. I think Malik Monk just got like 18 a year. Yeah, Caleb Martin's probably about in that ilk. Like, Malik was almost 6 man of the year, so he probably deserves something like 15 to 17 a year with the way that the NBA is going. And yeah, the Heat aren't going to pay him that. They're not. I get the frustration from some of the Heat fans that are looking at this and be like, well, we keep losing, you know, role guys, and we keep losing them, and we don't get anything for them. I think a couple things. One, I don't know what you're getting for Caleb Martin in a trade. I don't, unless you're trading him off of last year, right? And this was kind of the thought in the Dame thing, right? Where if he was in a Damian Lillard package, would a team say, yeah, I think absolutely. Okay, you could have added to him. But there was no star thing to have. So, like, 1 for 1, what do you get for Caleb Martin? Like a second-round pick? Could you have gotten a first-round pick? I don't know, because you all probably were staring at the barrel of, oh, this guy is definitely going to walk. But I think that's kind of become the Heat. You know, when you talk about Heat arrogance and like where it's deserved and where it can bite you in the ass, I think for the Heat joking around the regular season and kind of pissing it away, that's where the organization's arrogance bit him in the ass a little bit. To me, losing a Caleb Martin and not being able to believe that the team is going to be able to replace that, this is to me where you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, and that they'll be able to, because really you think about last year and losing Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, everybody said, oh, this is going to be such a big thing, but be real about it. It really wasn't. You know, Duncan Robinson had a real resurgence last year. So until his injury, you didn't really feel the loss of Max Strus. Now, you could be a real dick and you could be like, hey, Tobin, if they had Max Strus and they had the depth, and they would have been fine. Fine. Touche. But I think we all saw Duncan Robinson who played pretty damn well. And you didn't really think about Max Strus that much this year and him getting his, what did he get, $70 million last year? Gabe Vincent, I think there's definitely more of an argument for. They really had some struggles finding people to handle the ball. The thing is, though, that Gabe had a year where he was not playing. So, you know, I think the Lakers fan, and most of them are rats off a ship on Gabe Vincent, even though that dude is handsome, all right? And they are ready to move on from him. So, you know, to me, I just think that this is what their cycle is. Like, they're going to always big game hunt, and they're always going to believe that they can find the next gem to develop and come in there and do some things for them. And whether that ends up being Cole Swider when Duncan Robinson's contract is up, or that ends up being Jamal Cain when, you know, if they needed some more of that stuff on the wing this year, that's gonna, the thing that hurts with Caleb is, look, Caleb, we know for a team, it's hard to find role guys who you know and can rely on in the playoffs, that they can show up. And you know, Caleb has done it on some really big stages. He did it in the Eastern Conference Finals. He was arguably the MVP. Did stink up the joint in the NBA Finals. But he was a really good player. I mean, to find this out of, like, you know, J. Cole calling up Caron Butler, and you have this incredible story where people think that he's the twin that sucks, and yet every, you know, for the last few years you saw Cody Martin sitting on the sidelines watching his brother play basketball. So, yeah, it's going to suck to lose Caleb Martin. Don't get me wrong. I really, like, as solid a dude as they come, you know, doesn't really have like I don't think has like a real weakness. Has some things that he can certainly be stronger at. Best shooter you've ever seen with a toe on the line, on the 3-point line. But can get absolutely electric hot from an offense standpoint. Made some of the sickish circus shots you've seen in a Heat uniform. You know, but this is a team that I think, like, look, even if they don't make a ton of moves or don't make any star moves, Jaime Jaquez is going to take a bigger role this year, is going to have the ball in his hands some more. And yes, he is nowhere near the defender that Caleb Martin is. And in fact, you're probably hoping that Jaime's shooting gets to where Caleb's is. And if that's the case, then I consider that a big win just to get to that level, because Jaime was just, I mean, he was going through it, especially in the second half of last year from three. And if he can get to that, you're like, all right, you'll probably be okay dealing with the loss of Caleb Martin, especially with Jaime coming on the ups. But yeah, I'm not surprised by this. I think it was pretty obvious even in the midst of last year, like, they were going to lose Caleb. I think they'll possibly lose Haywood Highsmith too, unless Haywood just thinks the offers just absolutely stink and he just likes being in Miami and you know, kind of punts on a year and knows that, well, with Caleb gone, I'm going to get even more opportunities and I'm going to be the go-to guy. He looked, by the way, I saw some stuff from him that he looks like he's in crazy good shape. So I don't know if he's trying to impress teams on workouts or highlight films or what, but Haywood looks like he's put himself in an incredible position this year too. So, yeah, I think the role players are going to look a lot different. I think the role players are going to look there's definitely going to be some moving around with that for sure. But not a surprising thing that he is going to turn down $7 million and find probably double that somewhere else per year. That seems very, very likely. Very, very likely for Caleb Martin and what he's got going on in this draft week. So we will have to, figure out where the Miami Heat go about that when it comes to wing defense, electric offense to kind of take over those. I think that Jaime can do a lot of that stuff and bring a lot of that and be there, electric six-man almost this year. He had talked, I guess, on a stream this week where I saw Jaime Jaquez muse, which is great that everybody's got a muse these days. He was doing something with a YouTuber. I don't know who the YouTuber is, but he had said on this YouTube stream that he wanted to average 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists a game this year, which seems like a pretty reasonable and acceptable jump for him in all of those categories. And if that's the case, and especially like with more responsibility coming his way, there'll be if he keeps that up, there'll be a lot more model pictures. I mean, this guy, look at this. Come on, that dude. What the hell is that? J. Rich said it best. Like, hey man, you trying to make the world swoon? This is ridiculous what Jaime Jaquez is doing to these cameras. It's good to see the goatee back though.